Hey guys, happy Thanksgiving, if you're an American, that is. Well, this video is about a package that I got that's not so American. It's actually all shipped to me from the UK this past week. And got a couple of things here, so let's start off with the small stuff. Well, all this stuff comes from a friend that I met on Discord, and they sent it to me in this really big box I'll show you a picture of. So, first up here we have Super Turrican for NES. Now, this is actually a PAL exclusive game, and I always wanted to have a PAL exclusive game for the NES, and I feel this is a good choice. The Turrican series is a run and gun franchise. I believe it started on the Commodore 64, and then it got ported to the Amiga later with better graphics and stuff. I'm not exactly sure the whole history behind that, but anyway, it's a cool run and gun series, a mix of like Contra and Mega Man and Metroid, except it has that European style to it where all the levels are pretty maze-like. It's looked pretty cool from stuff I saw on YouTube, so I decided to get this. I paid for a lot of this, by the way. I just sent them the money and they shipped it to me. It was better to do that than to buy it all on eBay myself, where it'd be insane shipping, especially with current events as of late. Anyway, next up we have Zool 2 for the CD32. Now, if you saw my CD32 video that I posted a few weeks ago, you saw that I got Zool 1 and I mentioned about Zool 2. Now, unfortunately, like Zool 1, it's also region locked. I had tried this on an emulator myself before actually picking it up. And this one, unlike Zool 1, is region locked, where it shows a message on a red screen. This one actually gets into the menus, and once you actually press start on the game, it just gets to a black screen. But after switching to region, it does work. I tried it for a little bit, and it's fun. It's more Zool. I actually like this better than like the Jaguar version. The Jaguar version, to me, I think it runs a little too fast, and the Jaguar controller sucks. But yeah, this is pretty cool. This also has an extra level, which is actually the first level on here. So you get to play the added level first. And it also has an arranged soundtrack. And then we have a couple of little things they actually threw in for free. Like Family Guy, Stewie Griffin, The Untold Story for PSP, a UMD disc. Now, Family Guy is probably my favorite show of all time, alongside King of the Hill. And, you know, I don't have that many PSP things anymore. I used to have more when I was younger, but then my old PSP broke, so I sold a lot of the games that I had. So now I got this, now just adding to the PSP collection. It's a pretty interesting era where they had, you know, before smartphones and stuff, where you had to use things like a PSP or a Game Boy Advance to watch videos, movies, or shows portably. Anyone remember Game Boy Advance video? I had a few of those, like Shrek 2 when I was younger, and Shark Tale. Yeah, on the PSP, which is probably better video quality than the Game Boy Advance video. There's stuff like this. So this is pretty cool. I believe the stuff on here is actually more uncut than what got released to TV. I don't think I've ever seen any of this before. They had a DVD of Stewie Griffin, The Untold Story, but I've never seen it. And then another free thing they threw in is Virtual Tennis for the Dreamcast. I only got this because I wanted just to have a PAL Dreamcast game just to show what they look like. But unfortunately, due to a copyright issue with some company in Germany, I believe, they had to change the Dreamcast logo to blue instead of orange. Besides that, the PAL Dreamcast looks exactly the same, except just all the orange stuff is blue. I don't have a PAL Dreamcast, nor am I really interested in this game in particular. I'm not really that into sports, but it's just cool to own. And they also threw in this Nintendo Switch 2 magazine, which they told me they had a whole bunch of these whenever they order stuff from Nintendo. They'd get this sent with it. So it's pretty cool. I get to see, just like the old days with Nintendo Power, all the stuff but in magazine form. It's kind of a nostalgic throwback. And now for the main event. This I actually did pay for, and it was actually something I was planning to get ever since like June, and then things just kept happening, and that's how I ended up getting all this extra stuff, because I'm like, well, if we're gonna take long to send this stuff, then I'll buy more stuff. Maybe it'll be better for combined shipping. And here we have a PAL boxed Nintendo 64. It looks almost the same as the American one. I used to have a boxed American one, which I actually showed on this channel a very long time ago. But I sold that boxed N64 like in 2018 when I got a jungle green one. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I got a nice boxed Nintendo 64, although it's PAL, so that comes with some interesting issues. Because I wanted it because I had a PAL Nintendo 64 game, which I actually got from this person about a year ago. I got a PAL Super Mario 64, which I mainly wanted because I love Super Mario 64, and I have the Japanese versions and the US version, of course, but I wanted the PAL version just to complete the regional trilogy. And I don't anticipate buying more PAL N64 games, but I do kind of want to get a PAL exclusive. Probably Taz Express. It's one of the few PAL exclusives that actually was not released in Japan either. And it's actually the only region-locked N64 game, in the sense that you can't even put it in a pass-through adapter or anything like that. So that's pretty interesting. I guess you can only play it on a PAL Nintendo 64. I might try it on an EverDrive just to see, because I've never actually tried that before, but I've heard about it. So yeah, enough with that. We're going to be opening the N64, seeing what it comes with, and then we're going to be testing it out. I had to test it on my bedroom TV, unfortunately, because it's PAL, so, you know, I can't use it on my DVD recorder or anything like that, or it's going to be in black and white and cut off part of the screen. So, yeah, I had to move my bedroom TV over to my desk and try it out there. Well, anyway, let's get right into it. Alright, let's go. Alright, so now we're going to be taking a look at the box here and seeing the contents of the box. Let's read. The machine. Unsurpassed 64-bit 3D graphics, CD quality sound, and awesome running speed. Until you try doing 4-player games. Revolutionary 3D controller, unprecedented precise motion, and 360-degree game movement. Honestly, this is probably where 3D gaming really took off. Completely agree. Contents: the Nintendo 64 control deck, 3D hand controller, the power supply, aerial switch box, aerial extension cable, RF cable, and Nintendo 64 RF modulator. It's pretty funny because in the US, the Nintendo 64 did not come with RF. They only came with AV. You had to buy RF cable separately. It's pretty interesting. This PAL version has RF in it. We're gonna be looking at the back. It's pretty cool. It has this security seal on the side, on the edge. Content checked, security sealed. NUS SHF UKV. Yep, because it's the UK version. Alright. So here, the machine. Experience a quantum leap in graphics realism with the Nintendo 64 system. Real-time rendering and awesome anti-aliased graphics. Create a heart-pumping virtual gaming world. Experience more freedom, more adventure, more power, more fun. I wonder why it's all spaced out like that. And the anti-aliasing. That's actually the reason why Nintendo 64 games look kind of blurry. Because the system, I believe, has anti-aliasing built in and set on permanently. The controller. The Nintendo 64 controller gives you complete control over every move. The unique analog control stick allows you to move in 360 degrees. There's a quick action trigger on the bottom and multi-directional control pad, plus the N64 controller pack, sold separately, can save game statistics and data. Your favorite controller button configuration, built up character strengths, and more. The Nintendo Hotline. We are open 365 days a year to help with all your gameplay questions. Call 01703652222. Must be a UK phone number style. It's pretty interesting. Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Yeah, I'm not reading any of these things, but wait, it says ages 8 and up. Okay. I'm sure plenty of kids under 8 played with this as well, but... See, we have Nintendo 64 Wave Race. Wave Race 64 was actually, I think, might have been the first video game I've ever seen. Because I had a Nintendo 64. We had that when I was like a baby. Nintendo 64 is almost 30 years old next year. It's still one of the funnest games on this console. Blast Corps. Never played that before, but I always heard good things about it. Star Wars Shadows of the Empires. Never been that big of a Star Wars person. I think some stuff about it looks cool, but I've never really got much into it. Killer Instinct Gold. Never played Killer Instinct Gold, but I like Killer Instinct on SNES. It's a fun fighting game. Super Mario 64. No introduction needed. It's just one of the best games. Mario Kart 64. One of my top favorite Mario Kart games. Still fun to this day. Maybe low on features compared to like newer ones, but yeah, it's still just a fun one to go back to. Pilot Wing 64. Never played any of the Pilot Wing games before, but always hear this is a good one. Now, the Nintendo 64 in PAL regions were released in 1997, so they had a head start with a bunch of games able to come out for it at that time. Unlike here in the US, we only got Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings 64 as launch titles. I think this is a launch set. Not entirely sure, but it pretty much looks like it could be a launch model. In Japan also, they had the same 2 games at launch as well, and they had some chess game, I believe, that never got released here, but yeah. So we're gonna be opening the box real quick. Gonna flip it over. Alright, so we're gonna be opening the box real quick. Let's see, and it comes with the styrofoam, which is pretty cool. I wonder how complete this is. Hold on a sec, I'm gonna jump cut while I take this out of the box. Alright, everything's out the box here. See, we have the console itself. It's pretty much the same. The Nintendo 64, that was the first Nintendo console where they kept the same design in all regions. Because as you know, the Super Nintendo and the NES had varying degrees of differences in different regions. Like the PAL NES had the same design as the US NES, and the Japanese Famicom was completely different and played different cartridges. And the Super Nintendo, our design in the US was more boxy, while the Japanese and PAL design was the same. And now we get to the Nintendo 64. They finally got things unified. This is a gray one. Also, I noticed there's no number on the back here, like the way ours has the support number. Wonder what's in here. Oh, it's just a jumper pack. It's pretty cool because I used to have a gray Nintendo 64 for many years, but like I said earlier in the video, once I got a jungle green one, I sold it. So then here's the bottom of it. And US 001 EUR. See, it's 1996, 1997. Because that was when it was released in Europe. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So now I got a gray Nintendo 64 again. It's the controller. This joystick doesn't feel that loose. I mean, it does feel loose, but it doesn't feel that terrible. Well, yeah, going up does feel kind of bad, but I'll be the judge of that when I plug it in. And it has a controller pack inside it, which is pretty cool. Now, I wonder if Nintendo 64 controllers are region locked. And you might be thinking, how is a controller region locked? Well, the PAL NES and SNES, for whatever reason, their controllers are region locked. And you can't use a US controller on the PAL console, I believe, and vice versa. They changed something in the wiring. Now, what is definitely region locked is this power adapter. I can't use this here. It's a UK power adapter. We'll show you what that looks like. You know, it has this big plug that goes into the wall. It's actually broken, it looks like, so I'm not going to be using this. You know, I don't, and I can't use it anyway because I don't have one of those converters, so yeah. And then we have I believe this is part of the RF cable. You know, I don't really know how this works, but it's PAL RF anyway, and we're not going to be using that. We're going to just use an AV cable. And, let's see, and then we have the RF modulator. Looks, I've seen the US one before. This one looks very similar, except they took off the channel selection thing. If you saw my PAL Mega Drive video, you'll see that that didn't have a channel selection switch on it either. Which I believe Europe, in PAL regions, they use channel 36 for everything. So, yeah. But again, we're not going to be using this. We're going to be using AV instead. Alright, so enough of that. Well, we're going to be plugging it in to the multi-regional TV. Let's go. Alright, so everything's plugged in now. And one thing I forgot to point out when unboxing the controller was this thing right here. I've never seen this on an N64 controller before. This might be a PAL only thing because the American and Japanese controllers don't have this thing here. Kind of reminds me of like a PS1 controller, which is pretty interesting. So anyway, we're gonna turn it on and try it out real quick. All right. Let's go. Oh, there's stuff on here. Good. One thing different about the PAL Mario 64 is they have a language selection. Our version, it just only shows the stereo, mono, and headset. We're gonna start this. Yeah, it's noticeably slower as usual with PAL stuff. And you can see that the game is letterboxed. The stick seems to be turning just fine. And at least try to get to the castle one-handed. Alright, so as you can see, this works perfectly fine, which is pretty cool. And, you know, I'm really happy with this. Alright, so overall, I'm pretty happy with this purchase. I'm glad that everything works perfectly fine. So, as always, more to come. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. Or have one, depending on when you watch this video. Alright, bye now.